Good afternoon. So we have a very interesting group. I made a question before coming up if we were going to speak in Spanish or English, but they said we will have to speak in English. So either one of y'all speak Spanish? You have any Spanish speaking? Well, it was almost close. We would have been able to speak in Spanish. That's it. That's good. Maybe I speak English, but I don't understand it so good, so I'll try to do my best here. Well, I don't know if most of you are familiarized with Honduras, our country. But before I start, I would like to show you a small video of something which have changed the strategy that we had defined at the beginning of this government towards what we was going to work in tourism. And I would like to take it's going to be about 3 minutes. And so and then I will, excellent. Why we wanted to show this video is because last year, National Geographic was discovered what was called the White City, what was supposed to be considered for many years, for actually more than 100, 200 years. They were always talking about this city, gold, and it had turned into be a myth. But last year, National Geographic, with the help of NASA, and all of this new technology, was able to discover where this city actually was located. And the interesting thing is that we do not know yet. They're starting now to investigate and to do the process of what culture it is. We know it's not Maya, we know it's not Aztec, it's not Omoteca. So we're trying to find what is actually the culture that existed in that area. It's in the middle of the jungle, in the forest. It's actually located in an area of the country where is a protected area. It's one of the patrimony of the humanity by UNESCO. So it have to be done in a very delicate way. So it have changed our whole vision of towards where we're going to work in tourism in the next years based on this new discovery. So I just wanted to show you. You could find it also in YouTube and National Geographic. You could see more details of what have been done. But this discovery last year now is making us look to the future with with a little bit more interest maybe towards the scientific tourism and that we used to do before. So it was just a little small video of what is happening. I want to give you some facts of what is happening in my country based on the tourism element. The tourists represent 6.7% of the national growth, the growth of the country, PIB, the PIB, economic PIB from the country. It creates 237,000 jobs. 80% of these jobs are micro and small entrepreneurs, so it really gives a big base, a very democratic sustainability of economic, for a lot of population. We have a growth of 6% yearly. We have $750 million per year of foreign income from the tourists, and we receive 2.2 million tourists per year. A lot of these are from the cruise ships industry. The Honduras is located, as you see, right in the middle of America, and we have coasts on both sides. But most of the tourism is done in the North Coast, where the Caribbean area is located. A lot of islands of the Caribbean. On these islands, we speak English. Actually, I'm from an island called Roatan on the north coast of Honduras. I actually had to go to school to learn Spanish, and then I forgot my English. So I grew up speaking Spanish after that. But we, on the island, we speak English. The British had these islands as part of the Commonwealth. Belize, Roatan, Jamaica, Cayman Islands, all of these was part of the British colony for many years. In 1867, it was returned to Honduras. In the beginning of this government, we had to establish some priorities. In a small country like Honduras, and the government is 4 years. So we have to establish rapidly at the beginning of the government what was the priorities, especially in the tourist sector. So with the help of a team, we established, and with the president, the first step was to declare tourism as a national priority. What happened with this was very important, because with this we established all the steps towards what we was going to do later. Once the president said tourism is going to be a priority in my government, it was the first decree he gave once he took over in government. So it sent a very clear message to all of the different ministers or all of the different government officials that tourism was going to be the important factor in this government. It was not just going to be one more of all of the other activities, but we was going to work for the tourism and turn it into one of the growth and importance for this government. So as we developed the plan, we had to do a lot of activities. For you who know Latin America, we have a lot of bureaucracy. I mean, a lot. When I say a lot, mucho. To go from 1 to 10, we go 1 to 40 to 80 to 100, and then you go back to 2. So it's really, really dramatic the way the things have been established in the past. To actually, sometimes and I want to be very honest with you, sometimes the bureaucracy is made to increase corruption. And one of the priorities of this government was to try to reduce corruption. So to reduce corruption, the possibility of corruption, we reduce steps in bureaucracy. We avoid all of these steps, and so we start to establish clear what was going to be the incentives and the steps towards investment. One of those was to start making different activities around the tourists, because you cannot develop tourists if you do not have access to the tourist places. We had to make airports, we had to make roads, ways for people to get to this area, and one of the most important issues was security. Our countries, for many years, we had a problem with security, so we had to establish security, a protocol for security for all of these areas for the tourists to come and have them, not only them, but also have all the people that work around tourism protected. That they will feel safe and increase all the people moving around those areas. So that was the first steps we took. The first year of government, we started to work in all of the roads. We built 4 airports in the first year and a half. Example, an area called Copang, which you all might want to look it up. It's also one of the patrimonios of the humanity, patrimony of the humanity. Also, Copang is the Mayas area. We built an airport there after 35 years that there was planning to do it. We built it in 14 months. And it was very important because we opened new areas for the people to get there and made it easy for the people to get there. Finally, we decided that it was very clear for us in our country we had to bring in investment. You cannot develop tourism if you don't have hotels, you don't have resorts, you don't have all of the areas that really comes towards to create the synergy with the tourists. So we started to create a plan, and the government of Honduras hired a company called McKinsey, which has a lot of experience in different areas of the world, building strategies towards economic development based on tourism and other factors. 2 weeks ago, the company finally gave the final report to the government. The government have signed it now. And we have declared 4 priorities for the government for the next 10 years. One of those, and number 1, is tourism. So now we are creating areas of incentives that are going to be work around tourism. In that sense, it's very clear for us what we want to do for the next 10 years. This has been worked with the private sector, because I think one of the main ideas that we had to push across the government is no way that the government going to develop tourism without the participation of the private sector. There's no way. It's totally impossible. You have to have the private sector as the engine towards the creation of the opportunities in tourism. But in our country in the past, we had a divorce, a separation between the government and the private sector towards the goals that we wanted to do. So we had to build bridges and bring the private sector together and make them understand that we could work together, and that will be the strength of this new project, will be the strength of the cooperation between the private sector and the government. We, the government, will make the parameters, we will build incentives, and we will make the private sector do the development. So we have signed an agreement last week, actually, with the private sector, and where we created an institution called the CNI, which is the Council for National Investment, and this will be integrated by 4 members of the private sector, 4 members of the public government, and it will be the president of this new institution will be from the private sector. And they will develop the plans and the whole concepts of all the incentives now that we're going to create towards tourism. Our goal in tourism is very clear. We want to create jobs, we want to reduce poverty, and we want to create more business opportunities for the population of our country. Our population is 8 million people. We have a lot of immigrants who have migrated to United States and looking for jobs opportunities. This is not good for our country because it disintegrates the families. The father leaves to work, the kid is still left behind with the grandmother or the sister. And so at the end of the day, a lot of social problems that we have is based because of this disintegration of the family looking for jobs opportunity. So if the country we're very clear where towards we want to go, we have to create the job opportunity in our countries. The surrounding countries that have the most economic growth in our area is the United States, as you know. Most of the people who look for jobs from our countries migrate to the United States. But it's also then we have the people that send money back to our countries. That creates what we call the remesas familiares. This is the mean income of dollars to our country is the dollars that is sent back by these people from the country who have migrated to the United States. But it doesn't compensate. At the end of the day, this money does not compensate on the social disintegration that we have in our countries. We can have, the families is rip apart because part of them are living in the States, part are living in Honduras, and so we have all of these situations. So now we have worked with the U.S. government, and we have addressed to them that we, as part of the problem, we need them also to invest and create the jobs in our country so our people do not have to go to the States. And now with Mr. Donald Trump, with all of his ideas, I think it's going to be a more opportunity for us to work in our countries without having to look for the opportunity of this running over this wall that he planned to build, maybe. But that's another consideration. But in essence, what we're trying to do in our country is very clear. Our strategy is very clear. We want to turn tourism in the next 10 years in the most job creation factor in the country, in the most creation of economic growth in our country, and also a transversal cut throughout the society to create other factors. Retain our people in our country, make our country grow faster in the economic, but also in the social part. One of the big strategies of this is based on the cruise ships industry. And the cruise ships industry is one of the fastest growing industry in our country, in the tourism. 2014, we had a 34% growth. We was the third largest growth in the Caribbean. The island of Roatan, which is spelled R-O-A-T-A-N. You will find it up on Google. On this island, it's off of the coast of Honduras. That's where we have all of the cruise ship industry. And so we're working towards also creating more infrastructure for this growth because it have turned into be one of the most promotional for the country itself. So in essence, that's what we're trying to do with tourism. And it's very clear where we want to go. It's very clear, and this government is taking the steps. We're taking the decisions that is necessary. Our government lasts 4 years, and we're in the middle of the third year at this moment. So what we're doing, we're putting all of these decisions towards the Congress of the country for the Congress to establish it as law. So it will not be changed with a new government, which will be in 2018. But in the past, what the problem we have had in the past is that normally we do not have continuity in the decision makings in the government. Each government wants to establish their own path. So it changes every 4 years. So what we're trying to do now is make a long-term planning based on the approval of the Congress and turn these decisions into law. So later on, the new government will continue with these incentives and with the work with the private sector, and not a separation that it used to have it before. So in essence, that's the opportunity we're trying to create for our people. That's the opportunity we're trying to create for the country. We've been in the middle of a lot of turmoil in the last years. Central America, in essence, like some other areas of the world, maybe sometimes that have been seen as an area of conflicts, of social disrupt. But now we're working with the different government. We want to turn it into areas of opportunities of economic growth for our population. So in essence, that's what we're trying to do, and I will be happy to receive questions and whatever integration that you may want to do of what we're trying to do at this moment. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for the excellent presentation and also the film. I think that was inspiring for us all. Let's now join in some questions and comments for the minister. As always, if you can briefly introduce yourself so he knows also what country you're from, would be interesting.
Hello, I'm Vladimir. I come from Slovakia. I have two questions. Thank you as well for your nice speech. I would like just to ask you, you said that Honduras was influenced also by British culture and Spanish culture.
Yes.
What are you considering as bigger influence now in like your Honduras culture? And second one, for example, Philippines Secretary, who was also here present, the plans for tourism. He said that they have planned firstly to introduce Philippines in surrounding countries, and after they are focusing on Asian country and European country. Do you have in your strategy for tourism any specific market where you want to introduce tourism?
At this moment, our strategy is very clear because of connectivity. The connectivity we have at this moment is with United States. Geographically, is very close to my country. It's 1 hour, 40 minutes away in plane, 18 hours, 1 day and a half in cruise ships. So our priority at this moment, based on the actual situation of connectivity, is United States, specifically 4 states, which is Texas, Florida, Georgia, and California. We're working towards those 4 states and the surrounded countries of Salvador and Guatemala, which creates us a lot of tourists during the year. So second phase, South America, because of the connectivity is improving every week actually, it's getting better and better. And Europe, which as we see as a whole is a bigger market and more interesting market than the United States. But at this moment, our restriction, it's connectivity. We have to improve. We're working at this moment towards starting this year a flight with Air Europa, Air Europe, from Madrid to Honduras, and also Iberia. But that's at this moment, we have the priority is U.S. market, second, South America and the regional area, and third is the European market. And sorry, the first question about language was, sorry, I did not, sorry.
British culture, if the British culture play more important role in Honduras culture as Spanish, or which
No,
one?
it's more Spanish. We have 6 cultures in our country. The English natives on the Bay Islands and the north coast of Honduras is English, but we have the Caribs, which came from the island of San Vincent in the eastern part of the Caribbean. That was expelled from the San Vincent by the French and the Dutch, and they came to Honduras, and they are on the north coast of Honduras. We have the Mayas, Chortis, we have the Lencas, we have los Otomecas, and we have the Pitch. And interesting of this is all of these cultures are actually alive. If I was to speak to you in my island English, is very similar to the rest of the Caribbean, Jamaica, San Vincent. We speak very, very different, but sometimes people doesn't understand. Sometimes we have a lot of Dutch words and French words into our patois. It's a patois. And, but the Spanish heritage is the biggest in our country, definitely.
Additional comments, questions? Who would like to go next?
Well, they knew everything, you see. It's not necessary.
No, they're just shy, I'm sure. It's not every day they have a chance to speak with the Minister of Tourism about something they've been studying, actually, for a long time. But comments, questions? Okay, let's go to the back. Okay. Nobody should be shy.
I wanted to know about the dishes in Honduras, what would you promote?
Gastronomy?
Gastronomy, yes,
Okay.
exactly. The dishes. What dish would you really promote? What would you say is the tastiest food you have in
Where are you
Honduras?
from?
I am from Angola.
Angola?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Luanda?
Sim.
Okay. Actually, I was seeing part of your history this morning in Angola.
Okay.
Reading about your history.
Okay.
I think as we have 6 cultures, and one of the richness of what we sell in our promotion of our country is the gastronomy.
Okay.
We have from the heritage of the Mayas, you have the corn, everything based on corn. You have the tortilla, you have the panadas, a lot of the soup, the atol, a lot of food around the corn, a lot, very much. I think then you have, as our country was developed, a lot of the bananas and plantains, we call them. You will find a typical plate is beans, rice, meat, and plantains with what we call the tortilla. It's a corn, I would say like a bread, but it's very thin. And the ladies, not only the ladies, we try sometimes, but it's very bad experience. They do it, and then they put it on a hot plate. And you put the beans in the middle of the tortilla. You wrap it around like a taco. If you look at Mexico, the Mayas, the Aztecas, Mayas was on the northeast part of Mexico. The Aztecas was more in the central west of Mexico. So we have a lot of these connections with that area of Mexico. The Aztecs, the Mayas came all through the part of the Mexico, Belize, Guatemala, all through Honduras. So most of our plates are very similar. But, well, come to Honduras and I'll be your personal tour guide.
Thank you very much.
And I'll take you around.
Okay.
My name is Catherine. I'm from Nigeria. And I wanted to say thank you very much for your speech. Just like to ask a question. In this era of globalization, like digital revolution, how is that? Is your government taking steps to use that as a tool to help your tourism sector, or are you like some countries that believe that you have to put aside digital revolution and just focus on like nature? So are you taking steps to use that as a tool to promote and support tourism in Honduras?
What was the
Digital revolution, as in
revolution?
yeah, digital revolution. We're in the era of a lot of information.
Okay.
For example, she can go to Honduras and post a picture and share it, and I feel like I've already been there.
Yeah.
Because of the picture. So
But you have to come.
Yeah, is it helping? Is it helping tourism in Honduras, or is it limiting it? What's the situation for tourism?
Well, in the century or the age of knowledge, these tools are very important for a small country with a small budget. I will give you an example. My budget in my country for promotion is only $4.5 million. Mexico have $350 million. So I have to be very creativo, very creative. And so these tools of internet, digital market, and the social media are very Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and all of these words I have learned in the last 2 years, I'll be honest with you. But all of these are really helping my country and small country like us to really promote it as a destination. I just, with the help of my team, we have just created in the last few months our new market and management unit, and it's really making a big difference for us. So it's going to be indispensable for our countries to use all of these tools towards showing what we have, because we cannot compete with the big markets with all of their economy and their possibility of doing, an ad in the Super Bowl, for example. I will never be able to do that. $30 million for, or $7 million for 30 seconds. I will never be able to do it. But at the same hand, it gives us a very equal opportunity in the social media to promote our countries. So yes, we will use it.
Additional comments or questions for the minister? One question I wanted to pose you, if I may, is regarding the issue of nation branding. We were discussing this a little bit earlier in terms of how very often one of the challenges for nation branding, a country may be presented one way, perceived another way, and the reality is still something different. And I think that's where perhaps nation branding culture diplomacy can help. So assuming that's true, what would be, do you think, the biggest challenge for Honduras? Is there a myth or stereotype you're trying to overcome? And then the second point of the question, what would be the strongest points? You know, if you could really project a certain aspect of Honduras forward, what would that be? So the first part of the question, you know, what do you need to correct? Maybe a misperception that is there? And what would you like to really say with a very loud voice on a microphone that everyone can hear regarding Honduras to really get to know something about the identity itself?
I think the first perception is that it's different countries. You know, a lot of people look as America as one country. We're not. Central America is 7 countries, small countries, but each one of those with special characteristics. So we're different. You know, the world is getting smaller and smaller as the technology develop more and more. You know, as the lady from Nigeria mentioned, you know, we could take a picture and put it up, and it's instantly. So all of these factors, the perceptions, a lot of times they have had a perception of insecure, that our countries are not safe. That perception have affected us a lot. You know, that it's not safe to go there. And it's not. You have more possibility of getting bite by a crocodile in the middle of the park here in Berlin than to have something happen to you in our country. But it's perception. So I think that's one of the main goals, is to improve the perception and the knowledge of our countries abroad. And the second question was the brand.
If you could actively promote or really underline one aspect of really what makes Honduras unique or what makes it special, what would it be? You know, why should I invest in Honduras? Why should I bring my tour groups there?
Yeah, I think in the evaluation of McKinsey, what we did was bring a company from abroad to tell us what was the aspect we should base our development on. And the number one was the human factor. The Honduran, because of the cultural heritage, are very friendly people, very trusted people. And that's an element that we could work on. You know, it's a smile, a hug. It really gives an element to build on. In our society, the people are very friendly, very happy. They have a lot of parties. Every day is some party about something. But it's, you know, the families are very close together. We, all throughout the country, you have all of these family meetings all the time. The family, the Honduran, the national, the people itself, I think we will base, that's the most important factor. And secondly, the geographic location of the country as Caribbean. Last year, year before last, 2014, we had the visit of Mr. Talib Rifai, which is the General Secretary of the World Tourist Organization. He was in the country. And we took him to the island in Roatan, and from Roatan, we flew him to Copán. And he was very impressed because he said, you know, this is the first place I've been able to go to an island in the Caribbean. And 45 minutes, I'm in the middle of a Mayan ruins, a history. So that possibility of having all of these in such short time for a tourist is priceless. You know, we're taking the cruise ship industry. The person arrived in the island, a Roatan. We fly them to Copán. They go and enjoy the ruins of Copán, which is one of the marvelous of the humanity. And you could look it up in Google. And, you know, it's a 45 minutes flight, and then return in your cruise ship and leave. So the location and geographic aspect of the country itself makes it very, very impressive also.
Excellent. Well, thank you for clarifying that. Any final questions or comments for the minister? Ah, yes. Okay. Final question or comment?
Thank you very much for your talk. It was very interesting.
Welcome.
I really want to visit Honduras now, especially because of its cultural diversity. You say there are six different cultures. And I was wondering, in the nation branding of Honduras, it's great that you've had a lot of private investment, a lot of investment from the government, but I wanted to know what consultation has been made with these six different cultures and with people from the civil society in building the brand of Honduras.
Okay, what we did, it's very clear. You cannot make a plan of a country without taking in consideration the people. These are the base of any plan. What we did was we have a ministry, ethnics ministry, and what we did was did a socialization, a consultation with these different groups and what they wanted to do in their different areas of where they live. I will give you an example. One of those groups, the pitch, decided that they did not want to be part of this trend. They said, we feel threat that we may lose our culture, we may lose our heritage, and they were very clear. So in the planning of what we did, they are part of this council, but their area are separated and will not be part of the development in the aspect of what we wanted to do. It will be work with them in other aspects of strengthening their culture. And when they're prepared to do something different, then they will have to, address and decide. We created a new figure in the law in the country. It's called, which European had it for many years, but Latin American countries in the past, we did not, a lot of our countries did not have it because of we wanted to use the authority, central government. We created a referendum territorial, which means that each area of the country within a government area could decide on aspects of their political structure or economic structure, and that will be respected by the central government. So that figure is really going to help us and prevent a lot of situations of excess of our of desigualdades of difference in our country. But straight and clear, you may want to look it up on Google. You will see what we did with the McKinsey studies was a big consultation process. And we accept we have problems, but at first we used to do, as we say in Spanish, we will hide them under the rug as the mother-in-law come to visit. You will show the dirt under the rug. Now we accept our problems and we're trying to solve these problems. It's a big difference of what happened before.
Okay, well, thank you very much from my side. I'd like to ask everyone to please join in expressing our sincere gratitude to the Minister, Emilio Silvestri.
Good luck.